Morning, anyone, anyone and everyone. This is Britt Simon. I just thought I'd do a live session. It's a little bit early on Sunday morning here, coming up for 9 o'clock. I've posted a couple of videos over the last couple of days, which I thought people might want some clarification about. So I'm happy to take a few questions if anyone's around. I can't stay on very long, but we'll do at least half an hour or something. Now, just a quick thing. I'm bound to get this question. What's the position with DV 2020 and DV 2021? We're still waiting for the appeals. We can't predict when the appeals will be decided. It's up to the panel judges. They can't be rushed. We can't force them to make their decision faster. There had been some earlier predictions and hope that they would give us an answer in January. It's now February. They clearly haven't done that. So we just have to wait and see when they give us the appeal decision. There's nothing else we can do. Okay. What do I think about the case number EU 31600? I think I've discussed this before, Casper. It's a relatively high number. It really depends what goes on. The thing is, at the moment, the difficulties that we're seeing at some embassies, which I described in a couple of videos over the last couple of days, could be a good thing for high case numbers. If they don't schedule, at a particular embassy that has a lot of cases, it can really sort of, play with the numbers. So even though your case number is probably in a very dangerous range, there might be factors that make it possible for you to get an interview. We'll have to just wait and see. There's nothing I can do to scientifically predict that. So you just have to wait and see. Okay. Will AVQ in an embassy on the basis of DS-260 process date or the basis of the case number? I've tried to explain this in the last couple of days. It's both. It's both the process date and the case number. Just prior to adding cases to an AVQ, and that's a queue of cases that are at AV status, right? It's not AVQ, 3 letters, it's an AVQ. Or a line. Just prior to that, those cases are ordered by case number. DS-260s are processed, or they're opened rather, in the order in which they're submitted. Then cases are ordered prior to being moved into the AV status or a queue for an embassy. They're ordered by case number. When they're put into the AV status, which means allocated to the embassy, then they will put a whole batch of cases on the same day into that embassy's AV queue, and that's when that comes locked down. Now that takes into account only cases that have been processed at that time. So the process date is important to a case, and the case number is important to the case. It's both of those things, right? I've tried to explain that in the last couple of videos. If that needs further explanation, let me know. But I think you're asking a question I've already answered, frankly. Okay. I'm going to try and go through these first questions fairly quickly. What about Riyadh Embassy? Have a look at it. Have a look at it yourself. I've just shown, in the last 24 hours, I've shown how you can look at your embassy. Instead of me going and checking 190 embassies or whatever number there is, if you're interested in an embassy, go look at it with the method that I've shown. That's what I'd like you to do. Okay, I can't look at all of them. What does it mean when your case is at MVC? Really basic question, but it means that you haven't been scheduled yet, essentially. Other than that, it doesn't mean anything. There are some YouTubers that think it means that you. I saw one guy, I think it was Verified So. And he was saying it means that your case has been, your DS-260 has been submitted or something. He made up some nonsense. It doesn't mean anything like that. Every case starts at MVC. Okay, whether you've submitted your DS-260 or not, whether it's been processed or not, Doesn't make any difference. Every single case started that way on October 1st, right? From there, the only difference that we can tell is when you've been moved to an embassy, which the case goes into in transit, and then it becomes ready. Okay, so MVC just means you haven't been scheduled for an interview yet. That's basically it. Right? It doesn't mean anything more than that. Honestly, some of these YouTubers are driving me nuts with their incorrect assumptions. I mean, it's just crazy. I'm watching from Uganda. Hey, how you doing? I wish I spoke your language to be able to welcome you properly. Good day to those of you saying good day to me. Thank you very much. Why is the 2021 appeal taking too much time? I addressed that at the beginning of the video. I don't know, but I can't tell you when the appeal will be decided, and they can't be forced to decide it on any particular date. Okay. Is the Welcome Core program useful for the DV 2020 winners? No. The Welcome Core program, and I'm considering signing up for that myself, is to help refugees. Okay, so it's not designed to help DV lottery winners. It's only people going through the refugee program. And those people will have been approved for refugee status prior to you ever knowing about them as a Welcome Core. I'm probably going to become a Welcome Core candidate, or I think it's PDC or something. That I'm forming a group to be able to bring some refugees across to my local area. And then in the Welcome Core, you take some responsibility to help those people find employment, find a place to live, a bit of financial help, and so I'm happy to do that. That isn't something that we can just pick and choose the people that we want to bring across, or extend that to DV lottery winners. It's only for people who have gone through the refugee process, which takes a long time. They've been fully approved for that, and they're about to move to America. So no, I don't think it would help for a DV lottery winner, unless that person had also applied for refugee status and been approved. Okay. What can I do to be selected? I really want to live in the United States with my family. Here's the biggest trick, right? Now, I've seen other YouTubers. Who is it? Who's the crazy lady that does this? Chico TV. She sort of did some sort of video where she supposedly has this magic trick, and everyone that she applies for, succeeds in being selected, right? Because she's really good at making these selections. Let me just make that clear. That's absolute utter crap. It's nonsense. Right? Nobody can do anything, but I can give you the big secret on how to win. The big secret is to enter, and enter with an accurate entry. Other than that, it's a random selection. Okay, so you have to be in the lottery in order to win. If you don't enter, you can't win. You can only enter during October. You should only enter via the official site. And when you enter, make sure you follow the freaking instructions, because if you leave off a derivative, if you don't mention that you're married when you are married, if you lie, you will be disqualified. So just follow the instructions. Don't tell any lies, and enter the bloody lottery. That's the best way to be selected. Other than that, it's random, completely random. They don't prefer single people over married people. They don't prefer tall people over short people. It doesn't matter if you've got one thumb missing. It's random. The freaking computer doesn't know anything about you. And the lady from Chico TV can't give you any advantage, nor can any other YouTuber or anyone else that says they can. Okay. SA, very high case number, 3K, but only 34 selectees at your embassy. What are your thoughts? Well, your embassy is unlikely to build up a backlog because there aren't many people in your local area. However, your case number is what's most important, and that's regional. It's not based on the number of people at your embassy. So what they can't do is they can't say, okay, everybody is current up to, I don't know, SA 2900, but if you're from a very quiet embassy, it doesn't matter if you've got a higher case number. No, you've got to become current. If you become current, then you've got a very good chance because your embassy is a quiet embassy. right? Not many people are being interviewed there, so at least you won't have a backlog to be dealing with. Okay. What happens if your visa expires after you move to the USA, but before you received your green card? I'm planning to move to the USA in a little late. It doesn't matter, as long as you enter the country before your visa expires. When you enter the country on your first trip, when you enter, they endorse your visa, and that then gives that document, that visa, a 1 year period of time in which it shows your status. And during that 1 year, you're free to travel in and out of the country. And then during that 1 year, you'll receive your green card. So no big deal. Okay. Yesterday, you was talking about Addis Embassy. I know you don't like predictions, but do you think 28,000 is safe in Addis, or should I consider changing? I don't know. I don't like predictions because predictions, they're inaccurate, and people tend to sort of rely on predictions as if they're, magic. They're not. They're not magic. They're just a guess. So you can guess as well as I can guess, right? Now, should you consider changing? If you are not already in the AV status for your embassy, meaning your DS-260 is not processed yet, then you have a short period of time before it's processed where if you can move to another country, you should do that, right? I explained that in the video yesterday. Once you go into AV status, you'll find it very, very difficult, if not impossible, to move out of that embassy, right? You just have to then wait. And if you haven't already been added to an embassy's AV queue, and it has several months of backlog already built up, which we can see with those big embassies like Addis and Nairobi, then you're entering. It's like deliberately jumping into a frying pan, right, over a hot fire. It's a silly thing to do, right? So don't do that if you've got some way of changing that. Other than that, you need to make the decision for yourself. I can't make the decision for you. Okay. What will happen when my wife gets pregnant before getting the 2NL? Any problem in the visa? No problem at all. They give visas to humans. Humans get pregnant, or at least the female versions do. And so that's okay. That's normal. Americans get pregnant too. They don't ban you because you got pregnant. There's no problem. I know why people ask these questions. It's like, it's totally normal. to get pregnant sometimes. Life happens. Just relax. There's a process for everything, and there's a process to add the baby when the baby's born, and don't worry about it. It's fine. Okay. My case number is 2K Accra. I'm current since January. What are my chances? Well, have a look at the video yesterday. I specifically showed the situation at Accra, right? I can't say specifically what your chances are. I don't know exactly how many cases are in the queue for Ghana, for Accra, but they're only issuing about 30 scheduled interviews per month, right? So that's a low number. So that's a problem. It's going well, thank you, Aaron. 2023 AS19. What is the response from KCC to know my DS-260 has been processed? There's standard template emails they sent out. One of them says something like your DS-260 is processed. Most people can understand that. Another one of their emails says something like your case is has been checked and is and you've provided all documents, blah blah blah. And that basically means also that your case has been processed. But those two emails arrive before your case number is current. If you've been processed and your case number is current, then you get another email which says you are current for interview processing. And that email, current for interview processing, is the status of AV. That's when you've been added to a queue for the embassy and you're in AV status. Okay, so that one's the one I've been discussing over the last couple of videos. Is it normal for a June submission and resubmitted in October, but yet to be processed? Yeah, there are some, whether you've unlocked or not, there are some cases from May and June. I think very few from May, but but some from June I know of, either resubmitted or not unlocked, and that haven't been processed yet. Some cases take longer than others to process. That's the way it is. They're very close to finishing the backlog, I believe. I'm seeing cases now from September and October that have been processed. Some with unlocking, by the way. I heard of a case the other day, which was a September submission with an unlock and has been processed. I saw Curtis posted more of the bullshit about unlocking is bad, showing the original declaration from Miles Morgan that he understood, 2 years ago, misunderstood rather, 2 years ago, and still misunderstands 2 years later. I don't understand the guy. I don't understand why he can't see the incorrect nature of what he states. So let me make it clear. Unlocking doesn't by itself cause a detriment to your case processing. It can, in certain circumstances, delay your processing where that delay is necessary. Like, for example, you unlock your case to add a derivative, and that derivative needs to be background checked. And then that derivative has a name like Osama bin Laden II. And, so there and is a nuclear weapons expert from Iraq. You're pretty sure that person is going to take a little bit of time to get background checked, right? I'm being a bit facetious, a bit comedic, but you understand the point. If there's a concern about the person that you added to your case, then yes, there's going to be a delay. If, on the other hand, you're changing the address of somewhere that you lived 10 years ago, 3 addresses back in your history, and you're modifying, you're modifying the street address of the place where you used to live because you saw an incorrect address. Number one, I wouldn't have unlocked for that. And number two, that won't cause a delay. It's trivial. It's not important, right? So there are differences in the reasons that people unlock, etc. Now, back to your question. Is it normal? It's possible that some cases will just take longer, and just be a bit more patient, and hopefully you'll be processed soon. Okay. I'm case number AF38K for 2023. I've been scheduled for an interview in London. Good. Any advice on someone qualifying via their parents' country of origin? Oh shit. My advice is only qualify through your parents' country of origin if you really, really have to, and if you really, really understand what that means. So it's a thing called the missionary exception, and it's a you could call it a sort of if you're a soccer fan, it's like the goalkeeper taking a shot at goal at the other end. Right, is the thing that you do if you've got no other chance. You're about to end the game, and you've got 5 seconds left on the game, and the goalie kicks it towards the goal at the other end of the field, hoping to get it in the net because he's kicked it past the other goalie. Right, it's something like that. It's a Hail Mary in American football terms. It's a desperate move to do. It's when you have no other choice, and the only reason you do it is if you were in a country, let's say you were born in the UK, right? And therefore you're not eligible for the lottery, but your parents come from Ghana, right? And both parents were born in Ghana, but neither one of them was born in the UK. And you say, okay, I want to charge to my parents. Because England is not eligible for the process, and your parents came from Ghana, if you can show they were in the UK only temporarily, right? If you can show that, if you can provide some evidence about that, that they didn't then just, they didn't move there permanently and they didn't live there for the rest of their lives and everything else. If you can show that they were there temporarily, then you have a good chance of being approved. If, on the other hand, one of your parents is from the UK and the other one's from Ghana, then you can't use that rule. If you cannot prove that they were there only temporarily, then you could be disqualified at interview. But it's worth it. It's worth a shot. But I don't know the exact circumstances of your case, so I can't comment about your particular case. But go through the steps. What they look for is a preponderance of the evidence. That means when the CO has that case in front of them, there's more evidence, real evidence, that shows you are telling the truth than evidence that shows you're not telling the truth, right? Now, they don't have any evidence that shows you're not telling the truth. So, the evidence that you can give them is very powerful. So it's up to you to prove your case. Okay. Let's see. Freetown, Sierra Leone. Nice. Welcome. Already answered that question. Thanks for everything you are doing for me and every DV winner all over the world. Can you please make a more video on what to do after the interview? Aman, I think you've asked me a couple of questions on my blog, because I got a couple of questions, I think, from you. These sound very similar to a couple of questions that I've had on my blog and answered this morning. So, but yes, I try and make videos for people for after the entry into the USA and life in the USA as well. I would like to make more of those videos. It's just a matter of time. What is the process for re-entry permit after entering the US with DV? When can you apply, and how long for biometric and application process time now? Great question. So for others that don't know about this, when you enter the USA and you become a lawful permanent resident, you can leave the USA immediately. As soon as you've arrived, there's no restriction on how soon you can leave, right? That's the first thing. Then you can leave the USA for up to 12 months at any one absence, right? Any absence. Now, most lawyers will tell you to keep those absences less than 6 months, because there's a technical difference between an absence under 6 months and an absence under 12 months. Both of them are possible, both are legal, and frankly, you shouldn't have an issue if you've been out of the country for, let's say, 10 or 11 months. You shouldn't have an issue. But the difference is they need you to prove that you've established some sort of ties to the country if you are out of the country more than 6 months, but less than 6 months, right? Now, if you need to be out of the country for longer than 12 months, then you apply for a re-entry permit, which is an I-131. And the process for that, which is your question, and sorry, I just wanted to sort of give some context to that to others that maybe don't understand what we're talking about. The process to apply for the I-131 is you fill in a form in America and you go through a biometric in America. And to answer your question, it takes roughly, I understand, about 6 to 8 weeks for that initial process to happen. As long as you've then attended your biometric appointment in America before you leave, you can then leave the USA, and your I-131 can be sent to your local embassy wherever you go, right? And it will take some time. Couple of points. The I-131 re-entry permit gives you permission to leave the USA for up to 2 years, 24 months. It's not guaranteed to be issued. They want a valid reason why you're applying for it, and they deny some cases, right? But your initial question is, what's the process? Well, you fill in the form, you wait 6 weeks for the biometric, you have the biometric, you can then leave, and hopefully you'll be approved and you'll get that sent to you later. Okay? Hope that answers your question. My fiance and I were looking for advice. I think people should come to me for marriage and life advice. I've only been divorced one time. I mean, I got a pretty good track record. We applied last year for the DV lottery. Oh, it's about DV. Then I am the right person to come to. We applied last year for the DV lottery, and I proposed a few weeks ago. Would it make sense if we were married before we went for the interview? Okay. You applied for the lottery, right? And you're assuming that you're going to be selected. Let me just tell you, your chances of selection are about 1 in 100 years, okay? So what I would say to you is live your life. If you love this girl or this boy or whoever it is, and you're engaged to be married, etc., you don't make your life decisions based on the assumption that you're going to be picked in the DV lottery, okay? If you're married when you're selected as a winner, you'll apply as married. If you're not married when you're selected as a winner, then you have a decision to make. and the decision is, okay, should you get married and apply together, or are you going to not get married and be apart, right? So and my advice at that point would be, yeah, get married as soon as you can. If you've been selected, if you are a winner, get married and then apply as a married couple. There's no risk with that, right? Especially if you can show that you've had a relationship prior to the win. But you don't make that whole decision based on whether on being selected for the lottery, because your chance of selection is very small. Okay, it's just a lottery. It's not a plan. Okay. Okay. Any other marriage tips, advice I can give you? Let me know. I'm the guy. Oh dear. I'm sure there's some people, probably about 10% of my viewers probably understand a British sense of humor. And the rest of the 90% probably wonder, why is he laughing? Why is he joking about that? So anyway, if one has a B1 and the embassy is slow, can they travel to the US and adjust status? And is it legal? It's legal, but it's complicated and difficult. So when you are in the USA on a valid visa, you have the ability to adjust status if you got a DV lottery win, right? However, it takes time. The timing is the problem. And on a B1 visa, you're only admitted for a short period of time, usually 3 to 6 months, right? And so you have to wait. If you come into the country on a B1 visa and the next day you apply for adjustment of status, you're likely to be denied because you actually entered the with your B1 with an intention or a plan to adjust status. And that would mean that you lied essentially when you came into the country. So the fix for that is to wait some time, at least 30 days, but more typically 60 or even 90 days after you enter the country. Then you apply for adjustment of status. Now you can see the time is running out, right? And it can take months to go through the adjustment of status process. So your time is the problem with the B1, and also the fact that you have to support yourself. You can't work on the B1 visa, etc. You have to support yourself in America, etc. It's timing is an issue. Is it technically possible? Yes, it is technically possible, but it's just a little bit tricky, okay, because of the timing. I got a business visa for Spain in 2019, but I couldn't go. Should I need it to give any explanations document? No, I don't care. What visa Spain decided to give you has got nothing to do with America. It won't help you or hinder you. Please say something about US Embassy Addis Ababa, your general view on how they're doing so far. I did a whole video on this yesterday. Why would I? That's what I have to say about Addis and other similar embassies. Please watch the video. Okay, let me just pick a couple more. I can't understand on what principle they mean interview days, because there are low numbers that have not been assigned yet. Can you tell? I know exactly what's going on. I'm actually, I think probably so over the last couple of days, my last two videos have been very informative, and Artak, you should watch those videos. They will help you understand the process. But here's probably something that I should have made a bit more clear in the last couple of videos. Let me put this over here and show you my screen. Present, share screen. Come on. Very slow. I think I've frozen there. So on my screen, it shows that I've frozen. I think there's something happening with my computer or something. I don't know. Hopefully I'm still live, but I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure if I'm actually still broadcasting. I was going to show the number of people still waiting for scheduling at various embassies. There's a lot of people at other embassies. So let's just see. Am I still? But so YouTube. Okay, well, I think I've frozen, so this is probably the end of the video. Watching. What are you seeing? I'm just trying to see whether you're seeing my. No, it's frozen. Oh, I can see you're still. Yeah, you're still seeing me. Okay, so, my computer's misbehaving badly. So I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry about the delays. But anyway, I want this page, which shows how many people are still waiting for processing. They're still for scheduling, rather. There's a ton of people. If we take Africa as an example and look at Zarthisius's webpage, under case number 45,000, there are a ton of people that are current but not scheduled yet, and many of them are processed. Probably about more than 50% of cases are processed, right? Well more than 50%. And so there's really no need for them to increase the visa bulletin at all in the next visa bulletin. There's no need for them to increase the numbers. So the reality is we've got quite a bit of cases from low numbers and high numbers that are still waiting. So there's a risk there. Okay, look, my computer is misbehaving. I see I'm back. From my point of view, I'm back, but I can see that I've got some sort of issues, perhaps with my network or something this morning. So we'll call it a day. It's about 30 minutes. I need to go and do some other things with the family, but I hope that those questions that I answered were useful for you, and we'll do another live session over the next few days and answer some more questions. But please do watch the last couple of videos I've posted. They're extremely important. Some of you can actually save your cases from difficulties that we're probably going to see later on this year. I have to just say there is a smart guy called Clefs, who talks in one of the Telegram channels. I have a lot of respect and admiration for Clefs and a guy called Marek Schiffer, who are answering a ton of questions in one of the Telegram channels. I appreciate their efforts. Clefs has got an interesting story. He was a DV 2022 candidate, but he submitted his case very late. I think it was like February or something, maybe even March, when he submitted. But when he submitted, he figured out that he needed to be smart about where he was being interviewed. And so when he submitted, he made sure that he was going to be interviewed at a good embassy. And that's how he got his case pushed through the system. He submitted extremely late, but went ahead of all sorts of other cases because he wasn't put into an AV queue, right? He wasn't in a queue for the embassy. And so these AV status queues can be quite difficult to overcome, and you need to know how to play the game a little bit, right? And so there's an opportunity for some of you to watch the last couple of videos I made, understand what I'm talking about, and make some changes if you can to make sure you get your green card, okay? So do pay attention to the last couple of videos, please. All right, everybody, thanks for your time this morning. Thank you. Have a great day.